Welcome back to the Your Health television program hosted by the Monterey County Health Department. I'm Emily Sciolto, your host today, and just about every third Monday of each month. I'm here now with my third and final guest, Ms. Rosa Siemens, a registered dietitian and public health nutritionist too at the Monterey County Health Department. Welcome, Rosa, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Rosa, what is your role as a registered dietitian working in public health? What do you do every day?
Well, I see myself as an advocate to my clients and also as a health educator. And I basically go to my clients' homes and perform or do home assessments, basic needs assessments, what needs they may have that the community offers, whether these clients are connected to the healthcare providers or not. And of course, I do a comprehensive nutritional assessment for the children that I visit and their families.
Wow, there's a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot that you can provide to a family when you come into the home. In your professional practice, what do you see are the most common causes for obesity among children in Monterey County?
Well, I identified two different causes. The first one has to do with they are nutrition related, and the second cause is basically lack of movement. For example, the most problem that I find is excessive consumption of food portions according to the child's age, and then excessive consumption of sweetened drinks and sweets, a lot of 100% juice instead of drinking water, frequent dining out, especially when they go to fast foods restaurants and all-you-can-eat restaurants, and they don't have that many home-cooked meals at times. And then they skip breakfast, which is one of the most important meals of the day. And so when it comes to in relation to the physical activity, for example, is that the children tend to watch more than 2 hours of TV. That's not even to mention the time that they spend writing texting on the cell and playing games in the computer. And also another problem that I see is the fear that some of the parents have, at least in the community where I work in Salinas, to let their children go out to play because of the violence that there is. And so a lot of times the children have to be staying at home, watching TV and not going outside and exercise, which is, I feel, is a shame. And that's basically the majority of the children, I think, have this problem. And so these are the two components that I identified every time that I go visit the patients, the clients.
Wow, so you do this every day, it's your job, and these things that you're saying happen day after day, and it's the same that we've kind of been hearing, but from a first-hand account. I mean, children are eating more than they should. Children are eating not the right things, too sweet, too much of it.
Exactly.
Children are not getting outside, and parents are hesitant to let them outside.
Exactly.
That's definitely the recipe for a big problem here.
Yeah.
So describe how parents and their children perceive their weight problems. Is there a different perception? Is there an incorrect perception, or?
Well, it depends on the value that their culture places on healthy weight, or maintaining a healthy weight, and how they view overweight. I notice that with the clients that I work with, a lot of times the parents basically decline the service because they don't think there is a problem with their child. They see it as it's okay. My child doesn't have a problem. I guess it has to do with the fact that a lot of the parents that I work with believe that because of the culture from which they come from, that if the child is not chubby or is too thin, there is this perception that they are not able to provide for the children. And so that's one problem that I see. As far as the children, they don't see themselves different because they are not the minority. Rather, there's a great number of children that are overweight. So they don't seem they don't seem to understand that that's a problem for them. And they don't see themselves as being different than the others because they are not the minority. So it just depends on what value their culture places on being overweight or having a normal weight.
Wow, that's interesting. That's different than what we've heard about, certain racial or ethnic groups. These percentages, those percentages. I mean, you're talking about their cultural beliefs, where they've come from, and how they are translating that onto their children. What tools do you use to assess and educate overweight or obese children?
Firstly, I try to assess the readiness for change for the children and their families to maintain a healthy weight. And then I usually take, most of the time, I take a detailed diet history to find out what the eating habits are and the family's eating habits, and identify the dietary practices that cause them to have this problem. And then I weigh and measure the children. I calculate their body mass index, BMI, to make sure that they are within the parameters of what they should be for the curve, BMI curve according to the age and gender. And so that's one of the things that I do. And then I like to do, usually, most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, I like to use the, different techniques like lifestyle patterns, structural eating, things like techniques, for example, in mindful eating techniques, and portion control plate. That's one that I use quite a lot. And then I set goals with the child and the family.
Okay, so it's a series of things that you do, and you can kind of, the family can look back and see their progress.
Yes.
And know how they got there, and that's really interesting. Out of curiosity, you mentioned a diet history. How long back, how far back do you ask them? Is it just, what did you eat this week? Or?
I begin with doing, what did you eat yesterday?
Okay.
Believe me, a lot of people have a hard time remembering what they ate for dinner.
Right,
So,
I don't.
And then, so I try to go, I start usually, what did you eat this morning? So it's just the closest thing. What did you eat last night for dinner? And what did you eat for lunch? And then what do you normally eat and when you're off from school or when you go to school? So I'm able to identify whether they eat some of their meals at school or not, and what they normally eat.
Okay,
So.
Interesting. So what, how do you get parents and children to realize that they have a problem with their weight, and how do you empower them to change their behavior? Now, you mentioned some strategies. Earlier you said, when I asked you if how parents perceive their children's weight problems, you had said if parents don't think their child has a weight problem, they'll decline the service. What do you say to them?
Well, I begin, but remember I talked about finding out what the eating patterns are for these families. So once I complete my diet history, then I go and try to identify and demonstrate to them, or show them, this is what you're eating and this is what your pattern is in your family's pattern. These are your eating habits are like. And so a lot of times they don't realize that what they're doing is affecting their weight and their children's weight. So then I proceed to educate them about how to maintain a healthy body weight. And, you know, I discuss with the children, basically children, especially adolescents, they are not interested in what risk is obesity for me. They don't care, really. What they want to know, and so I have to find a way to find out what is really, what interests them, what is their interest, what do they care for. And obviously they're not going to worry about developing diabetes. It's not in their makeup to think about that. But on the other hand, buying fashionable clothes that they like to wear, or for some of the children getting involved in the sports that they like, that they need to have a certain weight, like football, for example. These are things that it would motivate them to maybe try to initiate some changes and change their eating habits so they can begin to lose some weight or maintain the weight that they have as they grow.
Wow.
So, and for the parents, I stress the risk of obesity, because the parents are more concerned about that. Children are not. They're interested in other things.
So not only do you go in there and provide all this great information, education, but you've got to find out what they like real quick too.
Yeah.
So it'll make a difference to them. That's not easy. What are some? Can you discuss some key recommendations to prevent obesity in children? What do you recommend?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to encourage parents to serve meals as a family, to eat together. With the children, and if there's extended family, it's even better. To limit dining out too often, especially going to fast food restaurants and all-you-can-eat restaurants. Those are very dangerous places too, because you tend to eat more than you should. And I encourage them to try to prepare more home-cooked meals and to serve home-cooked meals at home more often, and to leave the fast food restaurants for once in a while, and to treat it as something that is special, not an everyday thing. And then to watch their food portions, for example, also to be a role model for the children, and to serve, the appropriate food portion for the children. Eating breakfast is very, very important. A lot of children don't, because eating breakfast doesn't mean that, you have to have a sit-down breakfast. It could be an apple or a banana and a glass of milk, or it could be a breakfast bar and the run and a little bit of milk. It could be anything like that. It doesn't have to be a sit-down breakfast. And if they, don't eat vegetables, or serve them, to try one vegetable at least every so often, once a day at least. This is really important to increase the vegetables in their diet, to increase the fruits that they need to eat whole grains instead of white flour products. Should I continue?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. What I'm hearing though is a lot of milk. You don't mention juice really.
Actually, they can eat juice. They can drink juice. The thing with juice is that children are not drinking water, and that's one of the problems that I'm seeing. As long as if they drink water, they can have it like for breakfast. There could be a special food for breakfast. 4 ounces of juice is okay. I'm not totally against juice. The problem is that a lot of parents don't understand the nutrition label. And when they read the nutrition label for juice, if it says 25% juice, it doesn't mean it's juice, because usually in the label it says 25% juice, fruit juice, and it's 100% of the daily value of vitamin C. I'm sorry, but that doesn't make that product juice. It has to say 100% juice, and it has X percentage of the daily value for vitamin C, for example. If it doesn't say 100% juice, fruit juice, it is not juice. It is a sweetened drink, and it contains more calories.
I see.
And so, but I prefer, of course, that they eat the fruit rather than the juice. Juice should be something special, like for the breakfast.
Okay.
But not something that they drink to quench their thirst.
Then that's for water.
Water.
Kids don't drink enough water. Juice, the labels are misleading, and we misread them as well. So, what strategies do you recommend to get children and their families to be more active?
Well, choosing activities where the children move instead of just eating or sitting there or watching TV. Taking them hiking, for example, playing sports like soccer and football or volleyball in the beach. We had the opportunity here. Taking them camping. Camping is a wonderful activity for the family where they can be active. Hiking, enrolling them in swimming classes, for example, or going for bicycle rides, things like that.
All these things that are fun to do during the summer here.
Yes.
And low cost as well. Hiking, camping, biking. I mean, you just need the equipment.
And it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it's really a lot of fun.
Especially around here, like you said. So what after-school resources are available in our community to give children an opportunity to become active?
Well, during the summer month, and a lot of times during the whole year, there are activities. They can check with their local recreation parks department. Often they have a lot of activities for children. In summer, they have a lot of programs. They have the Boys and Girls Clubs after school. That's a good thing to check. And they can also check to see if they qualify for scholarships in places like the YMCA, for example.
Oh.
There are scholarships that I know that the parents may qualify for, that those who are low income. So the children can be involved in the YMCA. The Boys and Girls Club is a wonderful resource because not only they help them with their homework and they have tutors, but they have very structured activities and sports activities also, and healthy snacks. And it's only $25 a year that the parents have to pay for. So really, it's a great resource. And then we have the Salinas Aquatic Center. Sometimes they also offer scholarships. And it doesn't hurt that they can ask for the swimming classes. And what else? Did I miss anything?
Well, I was going to also ask you, now it seems like it's kind of difficult to understand whose job is what in this whole obesity prevention game. with regards to preventing the obesity in children, what does the division of responsibility look like between a child and their parents?
Well, the parents' responsibility basically is to provide structure,
Okay.
safety, and opportunities for having a healthy life. And basically it's what the 3 W's, as I call them. The job of the parent is to provide, as far as this structure, safety, and opportunities that I discussed, what to eat, what to buy, and what to prepare is the first W. And the second one is when to prepare the foods, and then where the meals should be eaten.
Okay. So we're just about out of time, and you were saying the 3 W's.
And then the 3 W's for the parents. And then for the children is how much they can eat and whether they eat or whether they move. That's the responsibility.
Okay.
So parents have to actually what, when, and where of the responsibility. And the child just needs to know how much to eat and whether they want to eat or move.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Rosa. That's unfortunately all the time we'll have today. That was some great lasting, words that you gave our viewers. I'd like to thank you again for spending this time with us. And of course, a big thank you to our previous guests, Dr. Lisa Hernandez and Ms. Linda McGlone, both of the Monterey County Health Department. I'm Emily Sciolto from the Monterey County Health Department, and I've been your host today. Please stay tuned for Your Town television program coming up next. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.